Before I started high ticket sales, I was imagining it would be taking calls on the beach, sipping a pineapple smoothie, making $10,000 a month effortlessly. And although that is possible, and I have turned that imagination into reality, but it's not as effortless as you've been brought out to believe. No one sees the dark, long nights where it's just you, your laptop, and Batman working alongside you, dealing with the hang-ups, the DQs, the inconsistent income, and the rent that's way past overdue. Even then, high ticket sales is still the easiest and simplest way to make your first $10,000 online, but it definitely isn't easy. And in this video today, I'll be breaking down the lessons that I've learned from high ticket sales, coming out here to Thailand with 1,500 USD to my name, no income whatsoever, and going completely broke and having to fast for 110 hours, and how I got out of that to create my dream reality that I'm living in right now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight in. So starting off with the first lesson that I learned is that the offer that you're able to land really will determine on how much you're able to make, because you can have the worst salesman in the world on the best offer in the world, and he's going to be absolutely printing compared to having the best salesman in the world on the worst offer in the world, who's going to be looking to sell some things because he's already running out of money. And to go into a quick story on my experience is that the first two offers that I landed were complete garbage, zero cash collected in terms of like commission straight to my pocket, just because the first offer was like this AI agency offer. They had, it was like a B2B type of sales where I was just calling these companies, cold calling them, and they had no idea who I was, no idea what I was selling. And we, as a company, we've probably only got one sale in 2 months, and it just was very unprofitable for me, reaching out to all of these people and not really getting any type of reward for my efforts. It was just a very dark time. And that was when I was back home living with my parents, so there wasn't that much pressure whatsoever. But then the second offer was this roofing agency offer where I was hopping on as a setter, calling, cold calling again. And this was after I came out here to Bangkok, Thailand. So the first few weeks of coming out here, this is all I was doing, was cold calling for this agency. And the thing is the closer, he wasn't that good. Sometimes he wouldn't even show up to the calls. So all of my effort, it was very futile. Got no reward, no compensation whatsoever from that. So that's what led me to be completely broke out here in Thailand, was not landing on the right offer, which led me to having to fast for 110 hours until I found the goldmine offer that was able to save me from eating the bugs in Thailand. And then next up, it was the time zone battle. That was very tough as well, just because as, living in Thailand, you're 12 hours ahead of the people in the USA. So I was working from 8 p.m. until 6 a.m. The first few months as an appointment setter in high ticket sales. And I was working right alongside Batman, never saw the light of day, just was dialing each and every single night. And this was on the goldmine offer, by the way. This was already after I left the shit offers. I was starting to make money, but to be honest, it really wasn't worth it in my eyes, just because I was making pretty good money as an appointment setter, but I was never really able to enjoy the fruits of my labor. I was just dialing, making money, but I wasn't able to tan, go do Muay Thai because everything else was closed. The only thing that was open was a 7-Eleven that was across the street, which was my only entertainment, was buying the toasties, the egg and cheese sandwiches, hanging out with my girlfriend. Like, those were the only two things that I could enjoy. I couldn't even really go to the gym, so I just had to do jump rope, push-ups in my room, and that was the only type of entertainment and things that I could do during that time period. But luckily enough for me, I was able to find an offer, today, that I'm able to work from like 8 a.m. until like 2 or 3 or 4 p.m. So it's a lot better now, but back then it was like the grind era where I was just working from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., working right alongside Batman. And it just had to be done. And sometimes you just have to push through until you're able to get enough money from the offer where you're working nighttime hours to be able to have the freedom to explore and find a new offer able to align with your time zone. And another lesson that I learned, especially as an appointment setter, is staying level-headed as a salesman, just because, especially with setting, you're going to be dealing with very high quality prospects, people that are very warm, very hot, that are already ready to buy. And then you're also going to be dealing with the very low level people who are barely making ends meet, no money whatsoever, but they still want to get everything from nothing. So it's just, dealing with these DQs, these low quality prospects, these people on a lower frequency where you're talking to them, you just don't really feel good talking to them, but you have to because you don't want to ruin and burn the lead. and just DQing people. And when you're setting someone up and then they don't show up to the call, it lowers the frequency as well. And you just don't really feel very good about your skills or your ability to set appointments, or with even sales as well, when you're hopping on closing calls and you're going through the entire discovery, and then it's like 15 minutes in, you figure out that they're actually broke. And then you just feel like you wasted time, your energy. You just need to stay level-headed, because of course with sales, it's up, it's down. You just have to stay level-headed and be a cold-hearted killer pretty much, because there's gonna be days where it's super good, you make like 3K commissions, and then there's gonna be weeks where you make $0. So it's just about going to the gym every day, tanning, just making sure you're feeling very good and putting yourself out of the equation of whether someone sells, sets, whatever it may be. So that way you're kind of living in a stoic type of way with sales, where you just do the best that you can each and every single call. And if things don't turn out the way you wanted to, it's no problem whatsoever. Just keep moving forward and keep doing your best. And then next up, another lesson I picked up on in high ticket sales is the risk that comes with it, especially with transitioning from appointment setting to closing. So when I transitioned from setting to closing, when I was back in Cebu in the Philippines, I was just locking in completely on remote sales, locking myself in an Airbnb, only going to the gym, only eating in my room, not doing anything else whatsoever. I had no friends, no things to do in Cebu. It was only remote sales and training, and leveling up was my only type of purpose and intent going there. And I had an opportunity come across my desk, a closing opportunity, and I was still setting at the time, making a 4 to 6K a month. And with this closing offer, I really had no idea what the on-track earnings were, but I knew I wanted to become a closer. So I just took my toes, dipped my feet in the water. And after my first few calls as a closer, I made a 5K sale, so 500 commission right in my pocket. And I was thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, like $500 right in my pocket. That usually takes like 7 set closes to get that same commission. So I was thinking to myself, like, okay, I might as well risk it and go full in and all in on closing just to see what will happen. Because like as a setter, you can only go so far in terms of your commission. Of course, you can still make like 20, 30K a month. It just really depends on the offer that you're on. But the offer that I was on, the highest you're able to make is like 8K a month. And that's like with all the effort and all the time put into it. But on my first call as a closer, I made $500 commission in like 20 minutes. So that's when my eyes opened up to like a new horizon. And I was willing to take the risk to go full in and all in on closing, which I did. But of course, it could have been a risk. It could have been like a one-time lucky thing where my first call, it wasn't closed, but then all the other calls could have been shit. But luckily they weren't. The risk paid off, and I was able to scale to 15 to 20K a month on that new offer as a closer. So as a remote salesman, you just need to be willing and able to take those risks, especially when transitioning from setting to closing, or from transitioning from an offer to offer. Sometimes it's going to be better. Sometimes the grass will be greener on the other side, but sometimes it won't. Sometimes you might get a lucky sale on the new offer, think it's all of that, move to that new offer, and then it turns out it's complete shit. The lead quality is garbage, and you're just going to be thinking that you made a big mistake. But it's no worries. You can always go back to the old offer, maybe, depending on your relationship with the sales manager, or you can find a new, better offer in the future. And following that, another very, very big lesson that I learned is that spending way too much money, it's a pretty big problem, especially with high ticket sales, especially living in Southeast Asia. You can easily do that, especially if you're making like 15, 20K a month. You're going to be spending a lot of money. But the thing is, like I told you guys earlier, sales is up and down. It's never really guaranteed. It's not a safe income like the 9 to 5, which is a good and bad thing, because of course you can make a lot more money. But the thing is, like, you might make 20K one month and then make 5K the next month. But the thing is, like, the month you made 20K, you might spend 15, 17K. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make 20K next month. And then that next month comes and you make 5K and you're spending 10K, 12K. Then it's not a very good sign in terms of your financial situation. So for myself, I've gone broke like 4 or 5 times because it took me a very long time to learn this lesson. I got stuck in Bali, Koh Samui, almost in Dubai, because of how much I was spending, because I was thinking, okay, I'm on this offer making 20K a month. There's no way I, lose all this money. But the thing is, I was making 20K a month, and then one month I had a very bad month. I think I made like 4 or 5K, and I spent like 15K. So the income was going down, but the spending was going up. And as you guys know, with common sense, that's not a very good math equation when you're spending a lot more than you're making. So you just need to be able to understand that you need to save for the rainy days that do come with sales. It's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. Some days you're going to have those storms. Some months you're going to have the fucking monsoons where you're not earning anything whatsoever. So you have to kind of put the acorns in the nest for hibernation when the sales aren't coming in as much as you'd want them to come in. And then last but not least is getting lost in the sauce and getting comfortable. And that's very easy to do, especially living out here in Southeast Asia, where if you're making 10K a month, that's basically translating to 30K a month, just because it is 3 times cheaper out here than it is back home in the States. So what I'd recommend to be able to get out of, losing yourself in the sauce, going out clubbing, enjoying yourself a little bit too much and just getting comfortable, is to always have a goal in mind and a purpose for why you're waking up each and every single day. Because for myself right now, I'm trying to scale to at least 100,000 a month. And if I didn't have this goal, I'd be very comfortable, because making 5, 10K, 15K a month, that's very easy to just settle and be okay with life. But then if you're not growing, you're dying, you're declining in terms of your skills, your income, you're not learning anything, and you're just coasting and declining, which isn't something you want to do. That's basically like retiring. You're just letting everyone else level up above you, and then you're going to be left behind. So you just need to keep leveling up each and every single day, physically, mentally, financially, so that way you don't get left behind and you're leveling up with everyone else. So to sum everything up, you just need to know exactly what you want. Don't stop until you get it. And after you get what you want, keep going and find something bigger that you want, and don't just settle. And the thing is like, you need to be able to take care of your financial situation, stay level-headed, as well as being able and being willing to take the risk in order to take those chances on creating a life that's even greater and a higher plane of reality than where you are right now. And then of course, don't stay comfortable. Always do something that's making you uncomfortable, so that way you're always growing. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. A very simple one today. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the lessons that I've learned from high ticket sales, and I will see you guys in the next one.